Hello, I'm Tom Davis with INSHE System Computing Services Training Team, and welcome to today's webinar, Grant Reporting. I only have one ground rule for today's webinar, and that is that you place any questions you have in the questions area, and then we will answer them at the conclusion of the presentation. So today's webinar will cover searches, accessing reports, report tips, drill down features, and different ways you can display the information in a variety of formats. And we're going to look at how you can add the grants reports worklet and then favorites, some reports such as My Awards Budget to Actuals by Ledger Account, My Award Budget to Actuals by Grant, the Award Budget Completion Report, the list of my grants, and all sponsor reports due dates by assigned role. So just a variety of reports that are available out there for those that access those respective reports. Along with, there's a lot of other reports that are out there that can also assist you if you're in the awards, grant associated areas. So let's begin here. First, many of you are familiar with a variety of transactions in Workday, such as creating requisitions or creating expense reports that impact your overall award budget. Today, we'll explore how to view that information via sampling of those reports, everything from those budget details to sponsor report requirements. There are several ways to access the reports, such as via the search field or via the grants management worklet. The only limitation to access some of these reports, such as the budget reports, is that you must have the award contract analyst role. And the good news is that when you're looking at some of the budget reports, it'll even advise you of that in the very top of the page, that you must have the award contract analyst role in order to view them. But some of the other reports don't require that additional access. So we'll begin today's webinar with how to search for the reports and provide some overview info that you'll encounter once you've accessed the report. So the easiest way to start off, if you don't have the worklet on your home page, is if it's not in your favorites and you don't have the grants management worklet, is to go to your search field. Pretty much all you want to do is type in the word My Award Budget. And then you'll see a couple of choices have came up. Now, if I just typed in award budget, I would have got more choices in there, but My links it to something that you're associated with in Workday, such as assigned as the award contract analyst or grant accountant with the award contract analyst role. So the first one we're going to look at is the My Award Budget to Actuals Ledger Account. And some additional information you see right there in the titles that are displayed is, it says FIN, which is abbreviation for financial, and then it says CR, which is a custom report that we designed at the INSHE level in this case to meet our specific needs in the INSHE environment as far as that award budget to actuals. When you see CR and then in parentheses INSHE or your respective campus, if your campus has created a custom report, then use that feature. But if it's an INSHE level report, it's available to all the campus to use that information. So I'm going to choose that one just to open the doorway up. And as I stated earlier, it says here, user must have the award contract analyst role in order to run this report. If you do not have it, you will get an error when you click on the OK button. So for here, I want to go to the company, and then in the company field, I'm going to select UNLV. So I'm proxy today as another individual, in this case, Holly Wood. And then I'm going to say the period I want to look at. There's current and prior periods. There's last close period or fiscal period if it's applicable. But I'm going to choose current and prior periods, and I just have February and March. So I'm going to choose February. And then I can put in additional filters by putting in the award number. Even though that's not a mandatory field, it can help save you time if you add in additional information. So today I'm going to put in my award number. And once I've entered that in, simply hit Tab or Enter, and it'll go out and find the award number. And after I've entered all that information, it's simply a matter of clicking OK. And then our next page will appear, which is the My Award Budget to Actuals by Ledger account. As you can see across the top, it tells you the company you've selected, the period, and the award that you've selected, and the data displays down below. So the good news about these reports, and we'll demonstrate that further in the webinar, is you can drill down into the details of some of these ledger lines, if you will, to see additional information. Some other features that are there that we've recently added to a lot of the budget reports in the awards area is they've broken it down as far as personal expenses. They've split the salaries into professional, graduate, and hourly so that you can see those details. And then if I chose professional salary and I clicked on the little arrow there in the left margin, it'll break that down and show me the sub ledger line of information. While if I scroll down further and I go to materials and supplies, I can see the same sublines as well. And then from there, you can drill down using a variety of methods, such as I can click over here and I can say I want to filter it by this information. I can view the details. I can export it to Excel, or export it to a PDF. It just depends on what you need to see in the details that you want to see. From left to right, you see the ledger account summaries, the original budget, any amendments that were made, your current budget, your current period actuals, how much have you spent life to date, your obligations versus your commitments, and then a totaling of all three, your actuals and your obligations along with commitments. And then here's a big one, remaining budget and how much is that in percentages. So those are a variety of information that you can see on this page. And at the bottom, of course, you have your direct expenses and you have your totals, indirect and direct line as well. So a lot of information that you can add. Now, when you're in the individual columns and you select something, I told you about drilling down, but you can also export this whole table, if you will, to Excel and see it there. And I'll demonstrate that for you a little bit later on in the webinar. But initially, I wanted you to be able to see how you can use some of those features, at least know where they are and how you can get to them. And of course, there's also a print option for this page at the very top. So those are just some of the basic features on searching, what CR stands for, custom report, and then the ability to drill down and dig into the roots, if you will, of where this information came from for the respective categories. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the home page there. And now that I'm back on the home page, I'm going to show you how to add and remove the grants management worklet and how to add it to your favorites if you choose not to add the grants management worklet. So that's a fairly easy process. If you come over to the gear on the home page, simply click configure this page, and then you'll see two segments, or sections I should say, required worklets, which you cannot manipulate or change or add to, and then you have optional worklets where you can add information. So if you click on the plus symbol here in this area, add row, I can add a worklet. Put that in there. Of course, it always helps when I spell it correctly. And then I'm going to select the grants management worklet. And you can select more worklets. You can even change the order that you have these worklets as a display on your home page. Now, the one thing is if you already have 20 worklets on your home page, you won't be able to add another one onto your home page unless you remove one of those existing optional worklets off of your home page to open up the doorway for you to add the additional one. But in this case, we've still got enough space on our home page to add it. But if I did want to get rid of one of these optional ones, I would just click on remove row. And I can also say, oh, if I want to add it below, that one, add a row, I can add it down here, but I went to the top and just moved it to the top. So after you've done that, it's simply a matter of clicking OK and then click done. And when you look on your homepage here, there's the grants management worklet. And of course, you can see there the different worklets are that are on this one. And certainly we have not reached to the level of 20. If we get one more worklet there, we would have 20. And the good thing about this grants management worklet, it has a lot of those reports, like the one you saw me type in initially, where it says My Grants Reports when you're on this worklets page. And you can scroll down and you can see a variety of worklets reports that are available. And once you've reached that level, there's a View More button there that you can expand to see even more reports and see it in a wider view as well. So, I mean, there's lots of reports that, depending on your access, you can get to. Plus, it gives you a brief description of what those reports are. And then to activate one is simply a matter of clicking on it, and it will take you where you need to go as far as that option. So I'm going to go back to the home page here. And in the next portion of this scenario, we're going to look at how to add favorites, because depending on your choice, you can add that grants management worklet that I just added, or you can also put an item in your favorites, which is simply a matter of clicking on your My Account or the cloud, going to your favorites, clicking there. And then once the favorites page appears, you'll see any shared custom reports that you already have linked to you. And you can see here, Holly has like 415. But if I want to add a favorite, it's simply a matter of clicking on Manage Favorites. And then from there, I have two sections that the common users can add information: favorite task or reports, or favorite custom reports. Now, remember, we were using a custom report earlier, such as the award budget to actuals. So if I type in that partial text, and then there's my information right there. And then I can add more if I need to add more. And then I just simply click OK. And if I already have the favorites worklet, then I'll see this information ultimately on my home page within the worklet favorites. But when I added that favorite custom report, it will appear right here. And then it's just a matter of clicking done. And then I go back to my home page, down to my favorites worklet, click there. And there's my favorite. Since this is a view option, it will put it in a view. If it was a task or something you had to interact with as accomplish it, such as creating an expense report, then it would be in the actions menu, and it would divide this page here into those little quadrants, if you will, for each type of category, views or things that you have that are active that you can accomplish a transaction with. Now, over time, if you said, well, I've got that as a favorite, but I don't need it anymore, I can go back to my account, simply go into my favorites, and go back into my manage favorites, and click on the X for the choice that I want to delete. Click it, click OK. And after that processes, I'll click done, but you'll notice here on this page, manage favorites, it no longer appears. It's not broken down by categories. And then click done, and then back to your home page. And when we click on the favorites worklet, it's gone. That's how you can add a favorite and remove a favorite. The same thing with the worklet. You went to the gear, you configure this page, and you can add a worklet or take away a worklet, other one than the ones that are those mandatory worklets, if you will, that most users have already on their desktop. So that's a little bit about favorites and how you can add those. In our third scenario, that's where we're going to go in and look at the various reports a little bit more in depth so you can see some of those drill down features. And so I'm going to go back over here and put in that My Award budget information that I still have in my search field here. And then I have my two choices, but we're going to start out with My Award budget to actuals by ledger account. So I'm going to click there, put in my company information, and I can shorten that by just typing in UNLV, and I select the one that I want. The period, I'm going to use February again. I'm going to type in my award number. Remember, that's to enhance your search. Put in those numbers, click tab or enter. I've got my award. Down in this filter section, I forgot to cover that initially. The filter name just allows you to add filters. If you say this is something I come to all the time, I can add in a filter name, such as, for example, blue. Let's say that's what I want to call this based on the data that I've entered there. And then I click save. I now have one filter. So when I come to this page next time, if I say, well, it's time to run that report, then I can just come down here and look at my filters, see what they are, and then select it, and it'll pull that data up. The only thing you have to be cautious of is the period. So if I was running this for March, I would just need to come in there and change the period. But everything else that I had entered on any of these respective fields would remain there every time I called up that report. And yes, you can have multiple filters. So if I put in green, I can add that in and save that one, and now I have two filters. But just like I can add them, I can also get rid of them by simply looking at my filters or click on Manage Filters, and I can do that as well. I can manage them from here, and so edit or delete them, or I can simply click on the drop down and click the X by either one, and I can get rid of those filters just like that. So that's how you can manage your filters by adding them and taking them away to make your job easier. But for today's purpose, we're going to click OK. Now we're back on that My Award Budget to Actuals by Ledger Account report. And remember, it is a custom report based on the CR there. And then as we scroll down, we're going to look at a couple of these features. I'm going to drill down into the materials and supplies. But remember, there's a variety of details that have been set up based on how the budget has been set up by the grant accountant or the award budget individual within the awards grants area. We've got materials and supplies, so I'm going to expand that line. And then I'm going to go down to the sub line here, and I'm going to click on, let's say our life to date actuals. I want to see some more details about that. And remember, I can click here to view it and filter that way, or I can just click on the option and it puts the little parentheses around it temporarily there to let you know the thing that you clicked on last. Once I get to the award budget area, the breakdown, if you will, I can see additional details here on the screen in like a sub screen. And I've got information about journal, the journal source, the line memo, accounting dates and budget dates, ledger account and budget ledger account summary, the cost center, the unit, fund, and function. All those things over here relate to what we call in Workday as the foundation data model, or FDM. You may be familiar with that term, but you'll see that information here. Now from here, I can do the basic type of filtering. Let's say if I want to go into the journal source column and I want to see information just about procurement card transactions in this instance. I can select that one, or I can select multiples, and then I can come down and click filter. And we'll give it a second. Now I see my procurement card transactions have moved to the top, and the other information has moved off the screen to allow you just to see what you are looking for. And if you want to see the journal details, of course, you can click there and see the journal details about that respective transaction. And then I can also view by to filter even further. So if I said, well, what's the journal source, or I can filter by supplier or unit, any of those will allow me to do that. So if I said my cost center, and then I come over here and I select a sub filter within a filter, I can also say the sponsor for the award. I can just have one. I don't have to have both. Then I can come over and click refresh, and it will further filter the information that I was looking at based on my search criteria. Now I've got it down to just one cost center, engineering grants and contracts, and the Nevada System of Higher Education is the sponsor, and then the amount that is there, and along with the totals. So I'm going to X off of there just briefly and come back to this page, and then I'm going to drill down there again because I want to show you some additional details that you can do with that data from the larger sub page. Once I get that over there, I can also change my view of what I'm looking at. So when I come over here to expand or collapse this chart here by clicking on that little icon, it'll present it in like a bar graph. But let's say I want to view it in a pie chart, and you can see these different JVs, journal vouchers, that are broken down. And as I hover over each one, it tells me, what the debit amount is for each one. But if I want to see that in a pie chart, I simply go over here to that configure and view chart data. I click there and I've got at least 9 different choices or more that I can view it in. So when I click on the pie, now I have my data in a pie chart, and I can see some other additional details that are down here as well. So and then you get a little bit of information such as the percentage, whatever the JV number is there, and then the dollar amount. And if you hover over something else, it's going to give you that amount. So it just depends on how you want to view the data. If you click another icon, it'll present that data in this method. So a couple of different ways that you can look at information about a report, depending on how you want to see it. So those are one of the nice features about these reports, is how you can drill down into the actual report itself. So I'm going to come back here to the other page. And then as I continue to move forward, some other reports that you will be able to see will have the same characteristics that you will see throughout reports in Workday as far as being able to drill down. But if I want to make this data go to Excel, I can simply click here, and it'll take a second or two for it to come up in Excel, and then it'll appear down in your lower left-hand corner of your screen, and then it'll be displayed in Excel. Now, of course, once the Excel document appears, you cannot change information in the Excel document and then make it update Workday. You can add any additional columns or fields you want on this for your purposes, but it will not change what's in Workday. But it does give you the ability to manipulate the information there where you want to add something else that currently does not exist, in Workday, if that's what you needed to do. But it is an exact representation of what you saw in Workday. And then to get out of it is simply a matter of clicking on the X to exit out of Excel, and you're right back here in Workday. So it just depends on what you're looking to view with these respective reports. In this case, we were looking at the award budget to actuals by ledger. If I want to see another report, I can go there by simply going back to my home page, or I could have just gone to the search field and typed in the information as well. But this time we'll use award budget to actuals by grant. And once again, you have to have that award contract analyst role. Put in your respective company, whatever period you're going to use. We're going to stick with February for now, and I'm going to use that same award. Put in my number, come down and click OK. And now you're looking at the award in terms of by actuals, budget to actuals by grant. And you can see your award up top. You could even navigate to the award from that point in time by simply clicking on it. But down here, you can see your award, your unit, your cost center, grant, your award end date, the budget, current period, fiscal year to date, life to date, your obligations, your commitments, your actuals, obligations, and commitments, and then the budget balance that remains based on what's already been utilized or in one of these 3 states. So in order to see some details about that, such as the obligations, it's simply a matter of drilling down again, letting this sub screen appear. And now you can see some additional information. In this case, you've got journal source, fringe benefit, obligation adjustment, and I'm not going to go too far into the details of this, but anytime you see a link, you can always click on that link and drill down even further. And of course, you have the same abilities here, such as print, export to an Excel. Anytime you filter any column, it will put the little filter there. For instance, if I go in here and say, show me the graduate assistant other compensation, and I click filter, once it appears, you'll notice the little filter is there. In order to get rid of the filter, it's simply a matter of clicking on it and then saying, remove that filter. And the data will go back to its natural state. And then, of course, the same expand and collapse, which allows you to go deeper into the system. The other features of how you can select fields. There are some where if you wanted to filter by worker for billable transaction, it will allow you to filter by the workers, if that was a filter you wanted to use. And then in the other column, you have the same information, but it just gives you the ability to sort and then further sort by just those choices rather than whatever the standard appearance is. So just another way you can look at that data and see information. Now, some columns that have the links, you can click on the related action and you can see additional details or print a particular subset there real quick and see the ledger account type. All the data exists right there within Workday. And then in the first column where I have the magnifying glass, I can do the same thing. I can gather some basic details in a quick pop-up screen here about the operational journal. And I can see some details such as total ledger credits or debits, the current status, is it balanced, etc. for those of you who use that information. So those are just two of the reports that we can look at that are budget reports. And then we're going to look at a third one here by going back over to our search field, and I'm going to type in the award budget completion report. And that's a custom report as well. And this report asks for the company. So we're going to select UNLV again. And then if I want to look at specific awards or organizations for awards, I can do that. Award lifecycle status, those are just additional filters. In addition, I can say if this is something I run all the time, I can create my own filters that I can just come here and then put in the information. But when I click OK, I'm going to see a variety of information that's there. And what this is a good report for is you can see all of the awards, and you can see when the contract started, when does it end, the budget template, the budget for award, and then whether or not the edit budget check enabled feature has been activated, and then the budget status, is it available? So awards, unlike traditional budgets, you have to turn on the budget check for each individual award, and there are designated roles within Workday that do that for your respective institutions. But that's what this report allows you to see is, wow, is the budget check turned on for that particular award? And you can tell by just scrolling down, or if you're looking for a specific award, you can see that information there. Once again, you can export this to Excel if you needed to. You can filter by specific award if that's what you're looking to do, and you only want to see that information. And there's a lot of details here, so it may take some time for it to open up. Let's say if I chose that one and I just want to see that one at the top there. Now I can see that yes, the budget check has been enabled and it is available. Remember, to get rid of that filter, it's simply a matter of clicking on the little filter there and saying remove, and the data will reappear in its standard format. You can also, like the other documents we've looked at, click on the actual award and it will take you to the award. And now you can see some details about that particular award depending on what you need to do. And if I just arrow back, it puts me back on the report that I was on. The award budget completion report, some of the key features there is it shows you whether or not the budget check has been enabled and what the budget status is for that overall process. So the next area we're going to look at is a report titled List of My Grants. So in the search field, that's exactly what I'm going to put in there. And then that is also a custom report. You can see I've shown you a couple of custom reports, and this one also has that restrictor on it, if you will. You must have the award contract analyst row to view this information. Otherwise, as I mentioned earlier, you will get a error message. So when it asks for the award role, it'll bring it up, and the only role that's there is the award contract analyst role, and it has the same, filters if you desire to add those filters, and you can click OK. Once there, I can see the awards or grant information for the respective awards by scrolling down the page and then going left to right. The company is, of course, UNLV, whatever the grant is, the award for the grant, the award life cycle status. And you can see I've got up top, I've got close in progress, and I've got open. So if we can filter that column, yes, you can. There's a couple of different choices: close in progress, open, pending sponsor funding, and setup error, etc. So, but if you don't want to filter, it's simply a matter of clicking outside. What's your award schedule, contract start date and end dates, the award total amount, authorized amount. And all these are things that are set up by usually the grant accountant as they're building the award itself. And then the grant award type, contract or grant default and proposal ID, award numbers, award status, schedule, award type further. So if there's a prime sponsor, and then you have the sponsor information and the bill to sponsor, which a lot of you know that sometimes that's not always the same entity. You have a sponsor and bill to sponsor, and they can be different. But a lot of information you can see here, and then once again, you can export it to Excel. Do your filters on the respective columns as you need to. You can expand and collapse that chart, and you can see it in this manner here with the bar graph, but you can also see it in other ways if you choose to see it, say, in a stack column, for instance, and you would see it in this manner versus award total versus authorized amount. And you'll notice as I click on the respective footers here for that section, the colors change as far as what it is that I'm looking at. So just some ways that you can use that document to view a list of grants associated with awards. And then the next one that we're going to look at is the sponsor report. And this is a great report if you want to keep track of, wow, what reports do we have out there, maybe that are coming due. And I know we're doing some enhancement on this report, but if I type in all sponsor reports, due dates by assigned role. There's also all sponsor reports due date. So it depends on which one you opt to use, but I'm going to choose the bottom one. And then I have my assigned role. And then once again, it's the award contract analyst. Clicking OK will show me a variety of reports that are out there. So I have the award, and then I have the name of the award line, and then the award line grant, who's the sponsor, the task that was set up, usually by the grant accountant. Wow, what is it? It's under progress reports, and I have this one is also financial reports. And then it gives you out what is that specific one. And then this is this area that we're working on as far as this red diamond and how it appears if your report's overdue. But a lot of the institutions haven't started, say, using this process, even though the report is there. But as we enhance this report, we envision that they'll use it even more to give them an idea of, wow, where do we stand? What reports are out there that need to be due or need to be done? And then you can see the different due dates and then the different amount of days from 1 to 30 or 31 to 60, etc. The status, is it complete or not started? And that's where we're reviewing why do we still have the red diamond versus the complete status. So our analysts are reviewing that. And then any comments that were added, the role within Workday, and then who the assigned worker was for that completion of that respective report based on the assignment within the award. So lots of good information, and it does have the same, data as far as and export it to Excel, the ability to filter and then expand it out. Those are just some of the features that are there. And of course, you can print it or expand the whole table. If you've got a whole lot of them, you might get a whole page worth or more of reports that are out there for respective awards that you have. So those are some of the key reports that we've looked at today. So as we head towards our conclusion, I just want to recap what we covered today. We looked at how to search for reports and access limitations to those reports, such as the award contract analyst role is required for a lot of the budget, and then we saw also for one of the other reports. Some report tips to CR equals custom reports, drill down features, and then how you can manipulate the data into different report formats, such as a pie chart or a bar graph. Then we looked at how to add and remove the grants manager at worklet, or add favorites if we don't want to add the worklet as well, and then how to remove it if that's what we opt to do. And then last but not least, we also looked at view various reports and drill down features that were available. We looked at some award budget reports, such as my award budget to actuals by ledger. We looked at grant type report, which is a list of my grants. And then we looked at one of the sponsor reports, such as the all sponsor report due dates by assigned roles. Now, there are lots of reports out there that if you have that proper role within Workday, you can go and look at them. And we encourage you to go and look at the reports and drill down as far as you need to drill down to see that information to assist you in accomplishing, whatever task that you have to accomplish within Workday, or even external to Workday based on the data that you're completing for reports, etc. So that concludes today's webinar. This webinar will be posted on our training site within the next few days, but I'd like to thank you all for attending today's session on awards and grants reports. Thank you. Goodbye.